I. Introduction. The hidden reality of female interest. Have you ever wondered if there's someone in your life, right now, who's secretly hoping you'll make the first move? Not just casually interested, not just finding you kinda cute, but genuinely imagining what life would be like as your girlfriend, planning that first date in her head. Thinking about what it would feel like to hold your hand, even rehearsing how she'd introduce you to her friends. What if I told you this isn't some fantasy? For many men, this is real, and yet, most will never know. Magnifying glass, the hidden reality of female interest. Let's break this down. She's already invested, you just don't see it. Many women are emotionally engaged before a man even realizes she's interested. They're not passively curious, they're actively invested. They daydream about being with you, reimagine every conversation, and replay every smile. Why? Because when a woman feels a spark, especially one that seems to go deeper than just physical attraction, her brain starts creating emotional narratives. In psychology, this is called emotional pre-commitment. It means she begins emotionally testing a relationship in her mind before anything has even begun. She's seeing if you'd be someone worth investing in long term. Men often miss the signals. Here's where it gets interesting. Most men don't recognize any of this. Why? Because they assume that if a woman really liked them, she'd be obvious about it. But female psychology doesn't always work that way. Many women, especially when genuinely attracted, become more subtle, not more direct. Why? Because the emotional risk is high. She doesn't want to ruin what she sees as potential. She doesn't want to scare you off. She's afraid of misreading your signals or, worse, feeling rejected. So while she's emotionally rehearsing your future together, you're thinking, was that smile just friendly? Am I imagining the way she looked at me? This disconnect creates what I call the attraction gap, the space between what she feels and what you think is happening. And it's in that gap that most opportunities die unnoticed. Brain, why female interest is often hidden, and why it matters. To understand this dynamic fully, we need to explore a few psychological truths. Social conditioning and vulnerability. From a young age, many women are taught, directly or indirectly, that being pursued is more socially acceptable than doing the pursuing. This isn't about being old-fashioned, it's about emotional safety. By waiting for you to take the lead, she protects herself from the pain of being turned down. Fear of ruining the moment. Women often feel that once they express interest first, it changes the emotional balance. They're worried about seeming too eager or too forward, especially in situations where friendship already exists. So instead of declaring their feelings, they drop subtle signs, hoping you'll take the hint. Men tend to overanalyze. Meanwhile, men are wired to look for confirmation, not subtlety. We want the neon sign, the clear message. But in most real-life situations, that sign never comes. So instead of moving forward, many guys wait and wait until it's too late. Light bulb, what this means for you. If you've ever had a female friend or colleague who seems to light up around you, who remembers little things you say, who always seems to be around when you need someone, there's a chance she's already wondering, why hasn't he asked me out yet? In the next section, we'll uncover the 5 major signs that a woman is hoping you'll take the lead. Because once you start noticing these patterns, everything changes. Right pointing arrow, stay tuned. Because what you're about to discover might completely change how you see every woman in your life. Main body. 5 clear signs she's waiting for you to make a move. Part 1. She creates perfect opportunities and waits. Small diamond introduction. The missed signals that cost you everything. Have you ever walked away from a conversation thinking, was she trying to tell me something? You replay it in your head, how she mentioned this new restaurant she wants to try. Or how she said she's got nothing planned this weekend. It all seemed casual, but something about it felt like more. Here's the truth. It probably was more. You just didn't see it. Today, we're diving into one of the most overlooked signs that a woman is interested in you. She creates the perfect opportunity, and then waits. Not because she's shy, but because that's how attraction often works. Psychologically. For many women, let's break it down. Small diamond main concept. The setup strategy. When a woman wants you to ask her out, but doesn't want to risk rejection or seem too forward, she often resorts to a psychological tactic called situational prompting. This means she subtly engineers a scenario where you get to take the lead. Small diamond common examples include: she casually brings up a restaurant she really wants to try, especially if it's one you've mentioned before. She tells you she's free all weekend and doesn't have any plans. She brings up a new movie or concert, followed by a pause, almost inviting you to say, "Wanna go?" These moments aren't random, they're intentional cues, designed to test your awareness and your confidence. In psychology, this is closely linked to reciprocal initiation theory, the idea that both parties are testing whether it's safe to escalate. She's offering the invitation, but in a coded form. She's hoping you'll pick up the thread and run with it. Small diamond. Why it's subtle. The psychology behind the silence. Now you might wonder, why doesn't she just ask me out directly? It's a fair question, and the answer lies in social conditioning and emotional safety. Small diamond 1. She wants to be chosen, not to chase. From an evolutionary and social standpoint, many women are conditioned to believe that if they make the first move, they lose value. Not because they're not strong or capable, but because they want to feel desired. They want to feel chosen, not like they had to convince you. Small diamond 2. She's managing risk. Rejection is hard for everyone. But for many women, the fear of misreading a man's signals carries social and emotional consequences. So instead of asking you out directly, she gives you an easy route, one where she's protected from rejection. And you still get the chance to take initiative. Small diamond. What happens when you miss it? Here's the part that stings. When men ignore or miss these signals, it sends a very specific message. She doesn't think he's oblivious. She thinks he's not interested. And once that assumption sets in, the energy shifts. She pulls back. She stops hinting. And what could have been a real connection quietly disappears. Small diamond conclusion. Recognize the moment and act. The takeaway is simple but powerful. If she's dropping hints about things to do, places to go, or how she's free, those are signals. They're not just casual statements. They're coded invitations for you to step into your role and make a move. This isn't about playing games. It's about understanding the subtle language of attraction, how it actually works in real life, not just in movies. So next time she says, "I've been wanting to try that new place downtown," don't just smile and say, "Cool." Say, How about we go Friday night? Because the opportunity is already there. She's waiting, you just have to notice. Part 2. She lights up when she sees you, and her friends notice. Introduction. The invisible shift that says everything. Sometimes, the clearest signs of attraction aren't spoken. They're felt. They're seen in the shift of energy when you enter a room. Have you ever walked into a place, maybe a friend's house, a bar, or even a workplace, and noticed that someone suddenly lights up? Her posture straightens, her smile widens, her energy changes, and maybe, just maybe, her friends start looking at her with knowing glances. It's subtle, but it's real, and if you're not paying attention, you'll miss one of the strongest nonverbal signals a woman can send. Let's break this down. Brain section 1. Mood shift in body language, the unspoken signal. When a woman is genuinely interested in someone, her nervous system reacts before she even has time to think. This is called autonomic response, the body's involuntary way of showing interest. You don't control it consciously, and neither does she. What does this look like in practice? Her smile becomes wider and more genuine, engaging the eye muscles. Not just the lips, a key sign of real joy. Her eyes brighten and make more contact. She's trying to connect. She leans in, either physically or through her attention. You become the focal point in the room. Her energy increases, she becomes more animated, laughs more easily, and engages more enthusiastically. Psychologists call this the behavioral activation system, a part of the brain that responds to emotional excitement and reward. In plain terms, you're the dopamine trigger. Bunny Girl section 2. Her friends notice and react. One of the most overlooked signs of female interest is social feedback. Attraction rarely happens in isolation. It involves context and community. If a woman likes you, odds are, her friends already know. Here's what that often looks like. Her friends glance at you, then at her, gauging your reaction. They tease her playfully in front of you, or subtly step back to give you space. They observe her differently, because she's behaving differently, and they've seen it happen before. This behavior falls under triadic awareness, a concept in social psychology where third parties, like friends, act as amplifiers of emotional behavior in a group. You're not just reading her, you're reading how others react to her when you're around. Glowing Star section 3. The amplified self. She becomes her most vibrant version. Here's where it gets even more interesting. When a woman is attracted to someone, she often unconsciously amplifies the best parts of herself in their presence. This is not manipulation. It's not fake. It's a psychological pattern known as impression motivation. She wants to be seen, not just physically, but fully. She's more articulate, funnier, and expressive. She shares things she's passionate about. She presents the most alive version of herself. Why? Because in that moment, she's trying to connect not just emotionally, but authentically. She's saying, without words, "This is me. Do you see me?" Checkmark conclusion. What to do when you see the shift? So if you walk into a room and someone suddenly lights up, if her smile changes, her posture shifts, her friends giggle or glance your way, don't write it off as coincidence. It might be the most honest moment of attraction you'll ever witness. Here's the key takeaway. Pay attention to body language before words. Observe how she changes around you, not just in what she says. but in how she is. Watch how her friends behave. They often know the story before you do. Because sometimes, the truth isn't hidden, it's just unspoken. Part 3. She remembers everything you say. Introduction. When the little things aren't so little. Have you ever had someone bring up something you said weeks ago, something small, almost forgettable to you? Maybe it was your favorite band, or how you take your coffee, or that story you told once about your childhood dog. You pause for a second, surprised. How did she remember that? Here's the reality. When a woman remembers the small details, it's rarely random. It's a deliberate form of emotional attention, and one of the clearest signs she's interested in more than just casual conversation. Let's unpack what this really means. Brain Section 1. Memory as emotional investment. Psychologists call it selective attention, the process by which the brain filters and stores information that's emotionally significant. When a woman is attracted to you, her mind becomes more attuned to your words, your stories, and even your passing comments. She's not memorizing facts, she's collecting pieces of you. Small diamond key signs. She brings up specific topics you only mentioned once, like your favorite author or vacation spot. She asks follow-up questions about things you discussed weeks ago, showing she remembered the context. She weaves those details into new conversations, creating emotional continuity. This goes beyond being polite or friendly. It's a cognitive cue of personal investment. Speech balloon section 2. She continues the thread on purpose. Another key sign? She doesn't just remember what you say. She brings it back to keep the connection alive. This is known in relationship psychology as threading, a technique where someone maintains continuity by returning to previous topics. Stories, or emotional moments. Small diamond common examples. You mentioned you love hiking. Did you ever get a chance to try that new trail? I found that album you talked about. Actually loved it. You said your brother's birthday was coming up. How did it go? Why does she do this? Because threading shows intentional emotional presence. She's saying, I'm not just listening, I care. And in a world full of surface-level interactions, that kind of memory is rare and meaningful. Puzzle piece section 3. The psychology of deep listening. Let's take this one level deeper. There's a term in emotional intelligence called active recall with empathy. It refers to someone not only remembering information, but attaching emotional relevance to it. When a woman consistently recalls what you share, it builds psychological safety. You feel seen and understood. It signals potential for intimacy. She's creating space for a deeper connection. It shows she's not just listening, she's investing. And here's the critical insight. Friendly people listen. Interested people remember. Checkmark conclusion. It's not about memory, it's about meaning. If a woman remembers the small things, especially when they weren't central to the conversation, it's time to pay attention. She's not trying to impress you. She's trying to understand you. And more importantly, she's hoping you'll do the same. So next time someone says, "Didn't you say your mom loves old jazz records?" Don't brush it off. That's not just a memory. It's a mirror, reflecting how closely she's paying attention to who you are. Because in the language of attraction, the little things, they're never little. Part 4. She finds reasons to touch you and lingers. Introduction. The power of a simple touch. Some of the most powerful messages are communicated without a single word. And among the most telling of these is touch. It's subtle, it's fleeting, but if you pay attention, it can speak louder than anything she says. You might think it's nothing, just a hand on your arm, a brush on the shoulder, a playful push when she laughs. But when these moments happen more than once, and last just a little too long, that's not coincidence. It's communication. Brain section 1. Touch as a biological and psychological cue. Touch is one of the most ancient and powerful forms of human connection. In psychology, it's referred to as haptic communication, the science of touch in interpersonal relationships. When someone touches you, especially in areas like the arm, shoulder, or back, it triggers a neurochemical response. Specifically, the release of oxytocin, a hormone linked to bonding, trust, and emotional closeness. Small diamond: why this matters. Oxytocin promotes feelings of warmth and connection. Touch lowers cortisol levels, reducing stress. Repeated physical contact strengthens emotional association between two people. In simpler terms, touch makes people feel safe, valued, and remembered. And when a woman initiates that touch, especially repeatedly, she's sending more than just a friendly signal. Paper section 2. Patterns to notice, more than a coincidence. So how do you distinguish casual touch from intentional attraction? Look for patterns. Attraction isn't about isolated gestures, it's about consistent behavior. Small diamond: key signals. She touches you more than others in the same environment. Maybe you're at a party or around mutual friends, but you notice she always finds a reason to tap your arm or fix your sleeve. She lingers a moment longer than necessary. That brief pause in contact? It's not accidental. It's deliberate. She's gauging your reaction, checking for mutual interest. She initiates playful physical contact. A teasing shove, brushing lint off your shirt, resting a hand on your shoulder when talking closely. These aren't neutral acts. They're signs of growing comfort and curiosity. These cues fall under what behavioral scientists call affiliative behaviors, actions people use to build rapport, deepen connection, and express subtle emotional interest. Puzzle piece section 3. Why touch matters more than words. While words can be filtered, rehearsed, or hidden, touch is instinctive. It bypasses language and goes straight to the brain's emotional center, the limbic system. According to a study from the University of Miami's Touch Research Institute, even brief, gentle touch has measurable effects on the body's emotional state and perceived closeness. So when she finds reasons to touch you, especially in low-risk zones like the forearm or shoulder, she's testing how safe it feels to be physically close to you, opening the door to a more intimate connection, expressing trust, interest, and emotional availability. This behavior becomes even more telling if it's exclusive to you, if she doesn't touch others the same way, or at all. Checkmark conclusion. Don't miss the moment between the words. When it comes to romantic interest, actions speak first, and among those actions, touch is one of the most transparent. It's often quick, sometimes playful, but always meaningful, especially when she lingers. So if she keeps brushing against your hand, or casually rests her fingers on your arm during conversation, don't overlook it. She's not just reaching out physically. She's sending a message, and if you're paying attention, that message is crystal clear. Part 5. She makes herself available even when busy. Small diamond introduction. Time is the ultimate indicator. Think about the one resource we all have in equal measure, yet always seem to run short on: time. We can't buy more of it. We can't rewind it. And once it's spent, it's gone. That's why how someone spends their time says more than how they spend their words. So if a woman consistently makes time for you, especially when she's busy, it's not a casual gesture. It's a sign of priority. And in the psychology of attraction, priority equals value. Let's take a deeper look at why this matters and how to recognize it. Compass Section 1. Rearranging for you. What it actually signals. Most adults are busy. Work deadlines, family commitments, social obligations, they all compete for attention. So when a woman reshuffles her schedule to spend time with you, that's more than convenience. It's intention. Small diamond key indicators. She accepts last-minute invitations, even if it means moving other plans. She stays longer than she intended, missing her gym class, pushing back work, or delaying calls. She lets you into her busy window, the part of her day she usually reserves only for top priorities. This behavior reflects a psychological principle known as selective prioritization, where someone allocates limited time to what emotionally matters most. In short, she's not just making room for you, she's making you a priority. Light bulb Section 2. The hidden currency, emotional investment. We often think of generosity as giving money or favors. But in relationships, the most meaningful generosity is giving time and presence. Psychologists refer to this as time-based investment behavior. It reflects a person's emotional engagement and long-term interest in building a bond. Small diamond look for these behaviors. She's not multitasking when you're together. No checking her phone or thinking about her to-do list. She's mentally and emotionally present, actively listening, responding, and remembering what you say. She initiates hangouts even during demanding periods, proving it's not just about free time. It's about you. This isn't someone just being nice. It's someone signaling, you matter more than my schedule. And that level of presence is rarely accidental. Brain Section 3. Quality time as a psychological bonding agent. In the framework of attachment psychology, quality time is one of the fastest ways to build trust, emotional safety, and attraction. The more often someone chooses to share their unfiltered time and attention with you, the more likely it is they see emotional potential in the connection. According to a 2021 report by the American Psychological Association, voluntary time-sharing behavior is one of the strongest predictors of romantic intent and partner preference. In other words, people don't give time to what they don't value. When someone consistently chooses to be with you, despite other demands, it means you've earned a mental and emotional place in their life. Checkmark conclusion. When time becomes the message, time doesn't lie. You can fake enthusiasm. You can force a smile. You can say the right words. But you can't fake willingness to show up again and again. So if she's showing up, if she's adjusting her routine, if she's there even when she doesn't have to be, that's more than kindness. That's attraction taking form. Because in the quiet calculus of human connection, how we spend our time reveals what and who we truly care about. And if she's choosing you, that speaks volumes, whether she says it out loud or not. 3. psychology behind why women don't ask first. Small diamond introduction. A question we all think about. Have you ever found yourself wondering, if she's interested, why doesn't she just say something first? It's a fair question. In a world that's become increasingly open, where gender roles are shifting and women are more empowered than ever. Why do many women still wait to be asked out? Is it a matter of tradition? Or is there something deeper at play? Something rooted in human psychology, biology, and emotional wiring? Let's break this down. Brain Section 1. The psychological drive to be chosen. One of the most consistent findings in relationship psychology is this. Women tend to prefer being pursued rather than doing the pursuing. Why? Because being pursued creates a powerful emotional experience. It sends a message of being desired, valued, and chosen. Small diamond, what's really happening underneath? Pursuit satisfies a psychological need for affirmation and worth. Being approached is often perceived as validation of attractiveness or character. The act of being asked out triggers a subtle but powerful message. I am wanted enough that someone took a risk for me. This emotional experience isn't about ego. It's about emotional security. And for many women, especially those who are emotionally self-aware, that feeling of being chosen is the foundation for trust and connection. Heartbreak Section 2. Vulnerability and the fear of rejection. We often assume that men fear rejection more, but the truth is, it affects everyone. In fact, research from the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships shows that women may experience social rejection more acutely, especially when it threatens their sense of self-worth. Small diamond, why it feels riskier for many women to make the first move. Initiating creates emotional exposure, a vulnerability that can feel uncomfortably raw. Cultural conditioning still suggests that asking first is assertive to the point of being judged. Many women worry not just about being rejected, but about the implications of that rejection. Was I too forward? Did I misread the signs? Will this make things awkward socially? So instead of risking rejection directly, many women signal interest indirectly through body language, availability, eye contact, and proximity, hoping you'll take the next step. This behavior isn't avoidance, it's self-protection, carefully calculated. Straight Ruler Section 3. The meaning behind being asked first. For many women, being asked out by a man does more than open a romantic door. It sets the tone for the connection. It answers three critical, often unspoken questions. Is he genuinely interested in me, enough to take a risk? Will he take initiative when things matter? Can I feel safe and pursued, not just chosen by default? In applied relationship dynamics, this is known as relational signaling, actions that define roles, intention, and mutual respect early on. So when a man initiates, what it really communicates is certainty. You know what you want. Courage. You're not afraid of risk. Intentionality. You're making a conscious choice, not just reacting passively. These are signals many women are unconsciously scanning for, because they offer emotional safety in a world where dating can feel uncertain. Checkmark conclusion. Read between the lines of silence. So, why don't most women ask first? It's not because they're not interested. It's not because they're playing games. And it's certainly not because they don't want love or connection. Often, it's because the emotional risk feels too high. And because they're waiting for a signal that says, "You see me, you value me, and you're willing to act on it." So the next time you're wondering whether she's interested, don't just wait for her to say it. Look at how she's showing it. And know this: by making the first move, you're not just asking for a date. You're offering her the one thing she might be hoping for most: the chance to feel chosen. IV. Conclusion. What this means for you. Small diamond introduction. The moment of truth. So you've noticed the signs. She lingers when you talk. She mirrors your gestures. She laughs a little longer than the joke deserved. She makes time, even when she doesn't have to. And now you're left wondering, is this real, or am I just reading too much into it? The answer might be simpler and clearer than you think. This is where perception meets psychology. Let's unpack what it actually means when a woman consistently displays these signals. Brain section 1. When signals become intentional behavior. In applied behavioral psychology, there's a clear distinction between accidental actions and intentional signals. Accidental behavior is random. It comes and goes without pattern. Intentional behavior is consistent, contextual, and targeted. When a woman makes herself available despite a busy schedule, finds reasons to be around you more often, or engages in deep, sustained eye contact, she's not acting out of politeness or habit. She's communicating through nonverbal intentionality. According to research in interpersonal communication, up to 93% of emotional meaning is conveyed nonverbally through tone, body language, and timing. So when her actions repeat, align with context, and are directed toward you, that's not chance. That's choice. Magnifying glass section 2. The cost of waiting for absolute certainty. Many men fall into the trap of waiting for a perfectly clear sign, something unmistakable, undeniable, and risk-free. But here's the psychological reality. Most attraction signals aren't meant to be obvious. They're meant to be interpreted. This is rooted in what's called social ambiguity theory, a tendency, especially in romantic dynamics, to leave room for deniability. Why? Because rejection hurts, even for her. So instead of saying, "I like you," she shows it softly, subtly, but consistently. And the cost of inaction? You miss the moment. Not because the interest wasn't there, but because you waited too long for confirmation that was never meant to be verbal. Checkmark section 3. Why making a move is lower risk than you think. When the signs are present, when behavior aligns with intent, you're not leaping into the unknown. You're responding to a pattern that's already in motion. From a behavioral psychology lens, this is called a green light scenario. Consistent positive signals, low resistance to presence or interaction, emotional availability in small, testable ways. Making a move here isn't reckless, it's responsive. It's not guessing, it's recognizing. And here's the critical shift in mindset. Confidence doesn't come from certainty. It comes from clarity. You don't need a written invitation. You just need to trust the data she's already giving you. Push pin final message. She's waiting for the right response. Let's be clear. She's not just being friendly. She's not bored. She's not treating you like just another acquaintance. If her behavior includes the key attraction signals we've explored, presence, prioritization, mirrored engagement, it means one thing. She sees potential, and she's waiting, not for the perfect man, but for the right response. You don't need to perform. You don't need to pretend. You simply need to act. Because in moments like this, silence isn't safety, it's lost opportunity. So if you recognize the signs, if her energy feels intentional, if your intuition quietly says, "This is real," it probably is. And that's your signal. Right finger, so take the chance. Say something, do something, show up, because often, the biggest difference between what could have been and what actually happens is just one bold move. If this helped shift your perspective, even a little, checkmark, give it a like. Speech balloon, drop a comment if you've missed the signs before. Bell, and don't forget to subscribe. We've got more coming about how ancient wisdom and modern psychology can unlock the kind of connection you've been searching for. See you in the next one.